Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Secrets of a Witch podcast with me, Sabrina Scott. Welcome to the new moon January 2026 edition of this show. I'm recording this almost at midnight on Sunday night with the new moon energy percolating in my being. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. I hope your new year has kicked off to a really beautiful and good and grounded and momentous beginning. I hope whatever your intentions have been for 2026, that you've been able to step into it and it feels good. And even if it's hard and it doesn't feel good, you are moving towards it. That is my hope for you. So I'm really excited about today's topic. But before we get into it, I just actually wanted to make a little announcement in case you guys don't know. So I have started a second podcast. I know, crazy. So don't worry, this one is not going anywhere. This podcast probably will never go anywhere. I'll be making episodes till there's like episode 5,000 or whatever. But my new show is very different in a way. So you'll notice on this show, I never interview anyone. I never have any guests. Like, it's just kind of me doing my thing. And that's how it's always going to be. But I actually really love talking to people. I have a great time discussing things with people who come from all different walks of life, have different ideas than I do about various things, or have talents that I really admire, or maybe I just really, really dig their character and how they approach things. And it's been on my mind for multiple years now that I have wanted to create a show where I interviewed people and had conversations, and specifically conversations around the highs and the lows of the spiritual community and spiritual seeking and efforts towards healing and self-improvement and the bad that can sometimes come with that. And the reason for that is, as someone who is a coach and a tarot reader for more than 25 years now, and just a professional witchy person, I really have been on these spiritual streets, so to speak, for a long time. And what I've noticed is a lot of people come to this space, whether it's witchcraft or woo-woo manifestation or, any like Buddhism, yoga, whatever it is. A lot of people come to these different modalities of healing for recovery, for, again, healing from trauma, from whatever it happens to be. People want to improve their lives in some kind of way. And sometimes people find that. And I think equally as often, people end up in cults or abusive mentorship relationships or, whatever it happens to be. Like, where do you want me to start? There's so many crazy things. Like, I'm sure many of us have seen Wild Wild Country on Netflix. There's a lot of other spiritual cult documentaries. There's one about the Bikram yoga guy, also on Netflix. There's, where do we start? Where do we end? Like, there's endless spiritual groups that have just gone wrong, and like power being misused or people just being overtaken by something. It's interesting, right? This quest for healing can go a lot of different directions. And my point with this new show is not to lay blame or to demonize anybody, but just to talk about the highs and the lows of spiritual seeking and what can come from that at the best of it and also at the worst of it. And sometimes community can be toxic, even though it's supposed to be a healing space. And personally, I find that incredibly interesting, always have. So my new show, without further ado, is called The Heal and Harm Show. And it is inspired by that really common phrase, of which you can't heal, can't harm, and vice versa. Very similar to the phrase that inspired my second book, Curse and Cure, Magic for Real Life. The phrase, of course, is a witch you can't curse, can't cure, a witch you can't cure, can't curse. Like, tongue twister for you guys. So I really do think the darkness and the light need to be both talked about at the same time. It's not just all about positivity washing things. At the same time, it's also not about shock value and, being crazy like for, I don't know, viral views or whatever, talking about how crazy and bad things are. That's not it either. I think there is a nuanced middle. And so that's kind of the type of conversations that this show aims to have. And so at the moment, my plan is to release one episode every second Monday. So last Monday, released my first episode. It is everywhere you'll get your podcast. And if you want to see the video version of this conversation, it will be on YouTube. My YouTube is youtube.com/Sabrina Scott. So anyway, that is my little advertisement about my cool new show. So do check it out. It's a really neat interview with a guy who is from a ceremonial magic background. And it's just really interesting. A lot of you guys will maybe be more witchy, less ceremonial magic, less Thelema, less OTO. And so I think it may be out of a lot of y'all's wheelhouse. And I think just very out of the typical type of practice that most of you guys are interested in. But he just has a lot of interesting things to say. I already got some feedback from a listener that my lovely guest was a little rough around the edges, but that's part of what makes him very interesting, in my opinion. So do go check it out. I'm really excited to have a variety of guests that have already agreed to be on the show. So I'm just really, really excited to have a variety of conversations. And if anyone has got any recommendations or suggestions of folks that you would like to see me chat with, please let me know. I'm all ears. Okay, so today's topic. Moving on. What I want to talk about today is the importance of viciousness. But I don't mean viciousness like for no real reason. I don't mean viciousness to like cut people down like out of nowhere. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the importance of having within us a kind of warrior energy that is a little bit aggressive when needed. And again, this is when needed. This is not unprovoked. This is not because someone hurt your feelings. It's like when it really is necessary. And I know this is going to probably be a little bit controversial because I'm sure many people are going to listen to this and be like, well, where's the line? Who gets to decide what the line is? And for me, the answer to that always goes back to character, integrity, all of that type of thing. And I'm sure we'll get into that more later, but I'll just explain a little bit more about what I mean. I think we're in a culture where a lot of people are doormats and don't stand up for themselves. This is a little bit related to the last episode. I think that a lot of people have become entitled to say and do whatever they want with no pushback. And I think a lot of people have learned that standing up for themselves is inappropriate. But in reality, I think there actually is a self-preservation instinct that comes into play when we are able to, let's say, be a peaceful, calm, chill person 98% of the time. And then in that crucial 2%, like when we are in a genuine situation or when it really calls for it, to be able to access that more primal side of ourselves when it's necessary, whether that's for our own survival, whether that's to make a point, whether that is to lay a certain issue to rest, like whatever it is. Maybe it is for your own survival as well. You know, I'm sure we have all heard and seen news stories of near murders where women or whoever were able to escape very narrowly, something that could have gone in a very different direction. And they were able to escape because of their very quick instincts and showing up in a warrior energy of viciousness and fight back when it is necessary. Like, does your adrenaline kick in? Does your survival instinct kick in? Are you able to be vicious and healthily violent sometimes? I think we're in a culture that has basically said that any type of aggression is bad. We see this with the demonization of masculinity, traditional masculinity especially. We see this with the denigration of physical labor and trades jobs, even though the world would not run without people doing physical labor and trades jobs, even though those are very well-paid professions, especially now with the rise of AI and a lot of people going out of work because of, all of that. That's another topic. But we do see this denigration of aggression, masculinity, fight energy, warrior energy in a physical sense. And I think that has created this space where a lot of people are afraid to stand up for themselves, afraid to fight back when it's necessary. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of situations where it is going to make way more sense to just let it be. Pick our battles, right? Not every fight is worth getting into. At the same time, there are some fights that benefit us to fight. Whether that's to make an example, whether that is to protect ourselves, whether that is to stay alive, like whatever that is. And that fight is so important. And so my question with this episode, I really want to push to you guys is, when was the last time you felt that within yourself? This pure energy of raw survival, of unhindered aggression that feels, the words that are coming up for me right now is necessary, right? I think, unfortunately, since this type of aggression has been so demonized, this healthy survival instinct. Oh, hello, Choya says hello. Unfortunately, because this kind of masculine protector, warrior, healthy aggression has been so demonized, the way that aggression seems to be manifesting right now, at least in North American culture, is the aggression is coming out in, I hate to say it, but not to get political, but a woke activist politics, where aggression is something that everyone is pushing under the rug in themselves because it's not good, or it's demonized, or it's bad, or blah, 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 blah. And then as humans, we are going to have this aggression within us. It's human. It's biological. It's an innate survival instinct within human beings that has been there, I would say, forever. Otherwise, our species would not have survived. So many different things. And what we see is, instead of naming this aggression as aggression, which is what it is, in a lot of these kind of far left spheres, what we see is people being insanely aggressive and violent, but because they feel morally justified and morally superior in being that way, they're not even seeing what they're doing as aggressive or violent, right? And so it's still an expression of that aggressive urge, that aggressive biology that we all have. But since aggression in general has been so demonized, a lot of the population can only access that side of themselves and then channel it outwards if it's in this space of supposed moral righteousness or moral superiority, even if all of that is misplaced, misguided, not accurate. And so even if you disagree with me politically, that's totally cool. I hope you can still get something from what I'm talking about. Because I think regardless of wherever you're at on the political spectrum, I think we can all agree that that behavior online or at protests or whatever it is, ultimately is not making the world a better place. It doesn't make anyone more moral by behaving that way. It doesn't make anyone more safe when other people behave like that on their behalf. If you're, for instance, against ICE or against, I don't know, the whole the whole Israel existing thing, and you're on the streets doing your whole protest aggression, throwing smoke bombs and punching people or whatever hell it is. I think we can probably all agree, whatever side of the political spectrum that you are in, that aggression ultimately achieves nothing. And so it might feel good to get that aggression out and to feel moral and to feel righteous. But ultimately what that is like a wasted warrior energy. So it's like, okay, good, you're tapping into a aggression energy. Okay, cool. But it's misguided and it's being related to, I would say, in an incorrect way. Why? Why am I saying this is incorrect? Because there is nothing really on the line. Warrior energy is important when there is something on the line. Someone's life, for instance. But honestly, I really don't think that, let's say, a protest or being a dickhead to someone on the internet, like, that is not a life or death situation. That is just, I would say, masturbatory narcissism. And true healthy aggression comes out as an expression of character and integrity. It can look like, some child falls in the water and you jump in and like save the child from the water. Or like a cat or a dog is about to run out onto the street and like you run out and like stop the car and like make sure the animal is okay. Like, that is a healthy, I would say, like an aggressive impulse of warrior energy. That is not the same thing categorically as like, arguing online and feeling good about yourself for doing so. And so I think in order to really be effective, we as human beings need to look at how are we relating to our aggression? How are we channeling our aggression? Are we channeling this gift of aggressive energy towards bullying people online that we disagree with politically? Is that what we're doing? Or are we using this aggressive energy to, I don't know, learn martial arts, to volunteer for, I don't know, like it could even be like helping addicts on the street. Like, I think that requires like a warrior energy because you're trying to be protective of these people. Like maybe you're doing street outreach. Like, that is a warrior energy, like, thing that you're doing. It's protective. It's like you need to kind of occupy like that active masculine energy, regardless of your sex or gender or whatever, in order to be helpful in that space. Like, you can't be like a wilted flower doing either of those things. I rewatched the very cool vegan documentary The Game Changers the other day. And in that documentary, there's a guy who is basically training a anti-poaching force of people in Zimbabwe to basically protect all the wild animals from poachers. And like, that is an amazing way to channel like this aggressive warrior masculine energy to do something positive for the world. It's physical. It's real. And I don't know how many people need to hear this, but like, arguing on the internet is not real. It doesn't change the world. I know no one likes to hear that, but like, I really think that that's true. And I've spent a lot of time arguing on the internet. It did not change the world. It didn't change me, and it likely didn't change whoever it was I was arguing with. And so I think a lot of people are wasting this life force energy. If we're going to think about this energy in a tarot type of way, I would associate with the wands, suit, fire element, life force, vitality, energy. What are we doing with that energy? How are we channeling it? Are we creating? Are we using that anger or that aggression or that zest, whatever you want to call it? Are we creating something? Are we learning a new martial art? Are we, a volunteer firefighter? Are we, like, what are we doing with that energy? For myself, I want to channel that into my work, my writing, my speaking, my whatever it is I do on the internet, to share my voice and to hopefully inspire people to think. But for me, the warrior energy also shows up like when I'm coaching people, because I aggressively am like protective of the people I work with, and I want the best for them. Not in a way that I'm telling anyone what to do. I'm not. However, like, I want to be the most aggressive advocate for people I work with, because I'm kind of like in a mama bear mode with a lot of these folks because I just adore them. And that is how I am channeling like my warrior energy, is through like a kind of helping profession. You could call it a caring profession. I would say like the same energy motivates some people to be teachers or doctors. There's like this kind of life force energy, you know, to help, to make a difference, even if it looks kind of spiky. Like, I'm sure the same idea motivates some people to go into the military, protect their country, join the police force, protect their community, you know, become lawyers, whether that's like to advocate for people who are charged criminally or to advocate for victims. That also comes from like a warrior aggression impulse. And so we all have this energy within us, and I think it has been pushed under the rug by far too many people for far too long. And I'm not saying that like we all need to go out and be like 10 out of 10 aggressive to everyone all over the place. That's absolutely not what I'm talking about. Part of the reason why this energy is so powerful to channel is that it's not how we are all the time in all situations towards all people in all circumstances. That would be energetically unsustainable, and it would also mean that we were likely like completely dysregulated. And so part of the power of this energy is that it's selective, and it's not all-encompassing all the time. It's decisive, it's targeted, it's effective. And it comes from a healthy place. It doesn't come from a place of toxicity. And I think that's really important to understand as I'm talking about this. I think aggression has been so demonized that so many of us have lost our backbone, have lost our self-respect, have lost our zest for life, have lost our ambition, and just allow people to walk all over us. That's on one side of it. And on the other extreme, I see people pat themselves on the back for, you know, calling someone on a different side of the political spectrum a bad name. Like, that, I'm sorry, is like so pathetic. And so my homework for y'all, should you choose to accept it, is to really lean into your healthy aggression. But also to check yourself before you wreck yourself, and really try to come to peace with yourself and your own definition of, okay, what is a healthy aggression? Is my motivation here ego, or is my motivation to make the world a better place and to help people, or help animals, or help couples, or to help children, or like whatever it is, or to make art, like to make people's life better by, you know, experiencing something interesting communicated through art? I think that can also be like, have its moments of that aggressive calling. I know that might sound a bit weird, but I think that can be in there too. What is your relationship to that life force vitality, the primal survival instinct? How would you react in a crisis emergency situation? Would you freeze? Would you help? Would you act? What would you do? Not to get all dark, but like, I think this is an important thing to think about. Like, how do you react in a moment of true need? And what does that say about you? And I think when we figure out what is our relationship with our healthy, genuine aggression, vital life force survival instinct, that tells us a lot about where we're at in our healing journey. And how effective and productive and kind and loving we can be towards the people in our life. Because if we're able to access that warrior space, we're going to be able to protect the people we care about. And I know, like, that is something that, like, I really appreciate in a partner, like, this kind of quality. Being able to step up. Like, if I'm, let's say, with someone I'm dating, and some person, like, gives us drama, like, I want to know the person I'm with is going to protect me. Rather than wilt and shrivel and, like, run, you know, like, not rise to the occasion. Sometimes we do need to rise to the occasion. And I think the internet has confused a lot of people about what the occasion is. And so log off sometimes. The internet's not everything. And the narrative being pushed in a lot of places online is divisive and often just incorrect. A lot of propaganda on this big bad internet. And so I would really encourage y'all to spend some time thinking about what really matters to you. Is it arguing with dumbasses on the internet and talking about politics in a country that you don't even live in and have never been to? Or is it, how am I showing up in my community? How am I showing up in my family? How am I showing up in my partnership? How am I showing up for myself? Because that's another thing. A lot of people's vital life force energy is not just depleted when it comes to other people. It's also often depleted when it comes to the self, advocating and being a warrior on behalf of one's self. That is also something that I see being a massive problem these days. Right? We need to be able to put our own oxygen mask on first before we put on the mask for others. Typical airplane 101, you guys. And I think this aggression is an interesting thing, right? Because what we see is a lot of people online and at protests and whatever channeling this aggressive energy on behalf of random people halfway around the world, but they're not able or don't want to actually take a long, sober, hard look at where is that aggression actually needed in their own life, whether that's to stop being a loser, doing nothing with your life, or whether that is how do I show up in my own community or my own family? And again, or their own life. Because a lot of these people are channeling the aggression on behalf of these random causes, but they have no aggression and self-motivation in their own life to get themselves out of the rut that they're most likely in. And so if you find yourself sucked into this political aggression, yada yada, honestly, rechannel all of that aggression towards improving your own fucking situation. Because often a lot of people are channeling this aggression in inappropriate ways over nothing because they have no life purpose. They have no why. Life is meaningless. And so to find meaning, a lot of people will join these kind of fringe, highly moralistic communities where there's one way to be correct. And they'll feel like they're doing something because they're being aggressively whatever. And yet their own life falls by the wayside. So that's just something to think about, you guys. Are you channeling aggression and warrior energy to the best of your ability in your own life? Are you making an impact on your own life? Will you regret the time you spent doing what you're doing in 10 years, in 5 years? Are you spending more time talking about issues halfway around the globe than the issues affecting you, yourself, your own family, your own relationship, your own community, your own country? What would happen if we directed that aggression energy, the warrior energy, to the places that we actually have the ability to impact positively? And again, it needs to be coming from a positive space. No one usually likes to hear that part. All right, y'all. So I'm going to think about, it's not all love and light. But again, I do think warrior energy is coming from a similar place. But there can be a darkness to it. There can be a sharpness to it. We just have to know. Check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. Take a long, sober look. Am I doing this for ego, or am I doing this because it's the right thing to do? And of course, unfortunately, the caveat, which I hate that I have to say this, but, it's true. A lot of people have done a lot of very stupid, harmful things because they were convinced it was the right thing to do. And so it's especially important to really look at ourselves, self-reflect, look at all sides of an issue. And if you don't understand or can't articulate all sides of an issue on every different person's perspective, then you probably are not well equipped to decide what healthy aggression is in that situation. Because even if you're against a position, you should be able to fully understand from their own internal logic why they feel the way they do. So how's that for something nice and fun? All right, y'all. That's it for me. I'm done talking. It's time to go to bed. Much love whenever you listen to this, whether that is late Sunday night, early Monday morning, some other time during the week. Again, I hope this new moon was lovely. I hope you are planting some great seeds for your life. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Check out my YouTube. I am posting a lot of new videos all the time. I'm doing a lot of Tarot 101 for all my super newbies. So do go check that out whenever you've got a minute. Lots going on over there. YouTube.com/Sabrina Scott. You'll also find my new YouTube show, The Heal and Harm Show, which is also available as a podcast over there. And of course, my Instagram, Sabrina M. Scott on Instagram, my website, sabrinamscott.com. I am currently accepting tarot and coaching clients, and I would love to hear from you. Like, please book a thing. I love helping people, and I'm really great at looking analytically at a lot of really complex things and sorting out what you can do about it. So I would absolutely love to help y'all with that. Much love. Take care, friends, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.